Welcome back, broadcasting from the El Dorado Royal Spa Resort by Carisma in Riviera Maya. Now, before we continue with more information, let me remind you to follow us on social networks on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Google+, where you'll find us as Mexico News Network. Now, also, don't forget to log on and browse through our website for more information on Mexico and the world of technology on www.mexiconewsnetwork.com. Now, let's begin with more information. Now, more than a decade after becoming paralyzed from the neck downwards, Eric Sorto has been unable to perform even the simplest of daily tasks. Mr. Sorto, a 34-year-old from LA who became a quadriplegic after a 2002 gunshot wound, said that his ultimate goal was to be able to drink a beer by himself. Now, things may be looking up for Mr. Sorto and others with similar disabilities. Scientists described a better way to harness mind power and move prosthetic limbs. Microelectrodes implanted in the part of the brain that controls a person's intention to perform a movement enabled a patient to fluidly guide a robotic arm, they said. In a study published in the Science Journal, surgeons at Keck Medicine of the University of Southern California placed a pair of small electrode arrays into Sorto's posterior parietal cortex, better known as PPC. Now, these neural prosthetics were then connected to computers that processed Mr. Sorto's brain signals and determined his intent, allowing him therefore to control a robotic arm mounted to a table nearby or a computer cursor. California Institute of Technology neuroscientist Richard Anderson, who led the study, said to Mr. Sorto that he was able to learn to grasp different objects, play rock, paper, scissors, play video games, and even drink a beverage. Mr. Anderson said that PPC is a rich source of signals that can be used to determine the goal of a paralyzed subject. Now, these signals can be used to control smart robotics and computers that can work out the detail of movements of external devices, such as a robotic limb. Neural prosthetic devices have previously been implanted in paralyzed patients' motor cortex, the part of the brain that directly controls body movement. However, while those patients could control a robotic limb, movement was delayed and quite jerky. Now, implanting the neuroprosthetics in the part of the brain that controls the intent to move yielded a more natural motion. Now, Sorto said that he had a few tasks lined up for himself. He said, just off the top of the list, is that he wants to be able to groom himself, first of all. He wants to be able to brush his very own teeth, for starters. And he was also indeed able to drink his own beer. Sorto said when he was able to do it with the robotic arm, it just reassured him that somehow in the future, people with his disability will be able to have some sort of independence. And with that will come some sort of self-pride, of course. In more information, earlier on this week, Google filed a patent for a toy that can control other Wi-Fi connected devices. This could be one of Google's creepiest patents yet, especially if movies like Chucky still give you nightmares. Now, imagine a teddy bear outfitted with sensors and cameras. If it senses you're looking at it, the fuzzy toy will rotate at its head and look right back at you. Now, once it receives and recognizes a voice command prompt, you can then tell it to your control media devices in your home. For example, turn on your music or even turn on the TV. Google says that the patent application isn't an indication that the company will actually make or even sell this connected toy. The company said in an email statement to CNN that they hold patents on a variety of ideas. Some of those ideas later mature into real products or services, while others don't. Even if Google doesn't make one of these Internet of Things devices, you can surely bet other companies will in the near future. Amazon, for instance, already has a standalone home assistance gadget called the Echo, which can be prompted to control playlists and or even look up information on the web if you start your request by addressing it as Alexa. A connected speaker system called Yubi performs very similar functions. Interestingly, one of Google's April Fool's Day gags this year was a stuffed panda built to a cuddlier face of its search engine. Now, in more information, the chance of discovery of a mystery rock wrapped inside a diamond has made scientists question how our oceans were formed and what might be lurking beneath our feet. We know for a fact that more about the surface of Mars than we actually do of the mantle of the planet we live on. As little as 30 kilometers below the surface, which is the distance between the center of London Heathrow Airport, the continental crust turns into the Earth's mantle, a layer some 2,900 kilometers thick that surrounds the Earth's molten outer core. Underneath the Earth's oceans, the crust can be as little as 5 kilometers thick though. And yet this trifling distance might as well be light years, for we know very little about this vital component of our planet. For example, there is more water down there than we thought. For decades, scientists have postulated that the Earth's oceans were created by comets striking the planet's surface. But today and now, some people like Professor Stephen Jacobson of Northwestern University think that the rocks in the Earth's mantle might have had part to play as well, specifically a magnesium-rich silicate called ringwoodite. Mr. Jacobson stated that he is trying to ask big questions of where the Earth's water actually came from. One of the reasons the study of rocks is that they allow us to peer back in time. Mr. Jacobson had tried to replicate in the lab the kind of ringwoodite formed hundreds of kilometers downward, but was unable to, unless he added water. As Dr. Jacobson explains, the chance discovery of a diamond containing a lump of ringwoodite that had been spewed out of a volcanic vent millions of years ago showed in fact that the mineral held as much water as the examples he had reformed in the lab. Ringwoodite could in fact hold 10 times as much water as previously thought, meaning that there could be oceans of water still sitting in the mantle rocks right beneath us. Now, in more information, dubbed as the Concorde for this generation by its makers, the SSC in Bloodhound SSC stands for its supersonic car. If all goes to plan, the hope is that this vehicle will smash not only the current land speed record, but also the airspeed record by exceeding 1,600 kilometers per hour. The Haxeen Pan Desert in South Africa is perhaps the emptiest stretch of land on the entire Earth. As far as the eye can see, you will simply find the sun-baked clay modeled like cracked enamel. But when you are traveling at 1,609 kilometers per hour, even the clearest terrain presents hidden dangers. You are traveling faster than a bullet, says Mark Chapman. So if you go over a stone, it's like someone's shooting at the wheel. Building bulletproof wheels is just one of the many challenges that Chapman has to face as the chief engineering of the Bloodhound supersonic car. These are going to be the fastest wheels in history, he stated. Chapman, in fact, first became involved when he found a mysterious call on his answer machine, saying and asking him to meet in the pub to discuss a unique vehicle-based project. It did not take him many years for him to agree to take it on. He said that he saw some early drawings of the car, and the penny dropped pretty quick that this was something very, very special, not only for him, but for his entire career. He assured that you would kick yourself if you got this opportunity and you did not take it up. If it builds on some of the designs of the Thrust SSC, which is the previous record holder, which in fact broke the sound barrier at more than 1,207 kilometers per hour back in the year 1997. However, accelerating beyond that point has presented some rather unique problems. At the most basic level, Chapman's team had to find a material that could withstand the phenomenal forces inflicted on the supersonic wheels. When the car is traveling at full speed, they will spin at a phenomenal 10,500 rotations a minute distance, with the edges feeling a force of 55 1,000 times more than that of the Earth's gravity. They struggled to find materials that would hold together at those speeds. It also needed to withstand the damage from small stones flying from the tracks and hitting the wheel like a round of ammunition. The last thing you would want for it is to fall to bits, says Chapman. If cracked open, it would basically explode. Now, a team of more than 130 stone pickers are already braving the desert's dust storms and soaring temperatures to clear the track of all the stones they can find. But it is not the kind of risk you can leave to chance. This, according to Chapman's team, used a combination of mathematical simulations and physical testing. The team are also concerned about small slopes on the landscape. In a way, it is the same principle as speed bumps. The faster you go, the more you will feel an uneven surface. Given that Bloodhound SSC will speed across the length of a stadium in about a fifth of a second, even the slightest incline across could begin to shake the car. Now, once these issues are solved and fully ready, the team hopes to start road tests in the UK at a mere 322 kilometers per hour in the middle of the next year before moving it out to the Haxeen Pan, when they hope to finally break the 1,000 miles per hour barrier. Now, will it be worth the wait for Chapman the years after that first conversation in the pub? He declared that this is the best job and the worst job in the world. He's a lot grayer now than he was when he started this project 7 years ago. But the challenges you get are absolutely fantastic, he said. He kind of described it as engineering without a safety net. What they are doing is pushing the boundaries so far aside from what people have experienced ever before. A groundbreaking project indeed. Now we'll be right back with more information about Mexico and the world of technology after these few messages.
Audio Jungle.